Tell the time with Postman Pat. At 7 o'clock the alarm clock rings. It's time to get all ready, says Pat. Jess thinks he's hungry. At 8 o'clock, Pat has his breakfast. You'd better be hungry, says Sarah, or you'll be late. You're right, says Pat. Come on, Jess. At 9 o'clock, Pat arrives at the post office. Mrs. Goggins has the post ready waiting for him. Pat loads it in the van. What a lot there is, he says. At 10 o'clock, Pat calls at the church. He has a letter for Reverend Timms. Can't stop, Reverend, says Pat. It's going to be a busy day. Time waits for no man, agreed Reverend Timms. At 11 o'clock, Mrs. Hubbard whistles past on her bicycle. Must rush, she says. Choir practice at 11:30. So she picks up her letters and she passes. She makes me feel tired, says Jess, says Pat. At 11 o'clock, Pat calls on Granny Dearden. Will you have a cup of tea, Pat? Asked Granny Dearden. Thank you. I will, Pat. I'm gasping. At 1 o'clock, Pat looks at his watch. Do you think it's lunchtime yet? He asks Jess. Jess thinks it is. At 2 o'clock, Pat delivers George Laster's finishing magazine. Busy today, Pat? Asks George. I am, says Pat. I've never seen so many letters. At 3 o'clock, Pat calls to Greendale Farm. He gets in a tangle with the chickens. Mind how you go, says Mrs. Pottage. Then it's on Gone Hole to give Major Forbes his copy of The Horse and Hound. Splendid, says the Major. At 4 o'clock, Pat picks Julian up from school. We've been learning to tell the time, says Julian. Do you know how to, Dad? I do, says Pat, but Jess doesn't. At 5 o'clock, Pat stopped by at the post office. Miss Goggins is closing up for the day. Did you get all the letters delivered, she asked. All except this one, says Pat, and it's for me. At 6 o'clock, Pat is home again. He puts his feet up for a rest. That was a busy day, wasn't it, Jess? He said. But Jess was already asleep. I hope you enjoyed this book, and I hope I see you next time. Goodbye.